This is a lot of fun, so I'm going to share with you. This is our invention. We do this every single day all over the country. I just came back from Utah. The week before I was in Oklahoma. And we do this all over the country. It's just catching on fire. And actually, there are now people from overseas contacting us, wanting to see this and actually having to put it in their practice. A little bit about us real fast. We are a dental lab, and I've been a technician for 43 years. So I started when I was 2 years old. And no, just kidding. No, just kidding. So I started 43 years ago. My business partner, Moore, he's older than me. And you know, we've been doing chairside conversion, excuse me, for the last 15 years. I'm chairside every single day. And we had to come up with a better way of doing this, right? I mean, we've done cases, it's not easy, you're in the mouth, it's taking time. And a patient often is not comfortable when you're doing it, the conversion. So we had to come up with something better. And about 5 years ago, we joined some forces with some other entities, and we came up with some ideas, and we went our own way eventually because we didn't like what they were doing. And so we developed this. And so my philosophy and Larry's philosophy, my business partner, is how can we make something as simple as possible that you can integrate in your practice as fast as possible and make it very, very inexpensive? Like free, basically. How can we give it to you for free, right? So this is what we're going to show you right now. And so this is our basic introduction, obviously, because we don't have a lot of time. I'm sorry, I cough from time to time because I got this thing like a month ago from my granddaughter, and I'm fine. I'll go running and everything, but from time to time I'm coughing. Oh, sure. Well, maybe I don't know if I'm going to do it now, but well, maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So this is our scanner. This is the OB scanner. We are the American reseller for the scanner, and we actually were part of developing this newer scanner. It's made for the dental industry. So there are a lot of different scanners in the industry. It starts at $3,000-4,000 all the way to $20,000. We like this scanner because it doesn't have any lasers, and this scanner basically takes a 3D rendering of the patient's face. So it's not a camera like where it's flat, it's actually in 3 dimensions. And we'll show it to you later on this afternoon and tomorrow as well. Dr. Alijanian has one. So let me show you the workflow. It's a really, really cool workflow. So it's 5 steps, but in many instances, in some practices, they can do from start to finish in 3 appointments. So when I say start to finish, means from the day you met the patient to the day you deliver the final restoration in 3 appointments. Today it's more like 14 to 17 appointments, okay? So basically the day you meet the patient, you take a cone beam, an IOS scan, and a facial scan. That can be done in your office, the surgeon's office, or the restorative doctor. Here at Dr. Alijanian, he does all of this for his referrals. He does all those scans for them. And it goes into the green box, which is the lab. And basically what the lab is going to do, they're going to merge this data and create a 3D smile to show the patient. So this is great for case acceptance because now, before they even give you $1, you can show them what they're going to look like before you even started the surgery. So you can show them what they're going to look like in 3 dimensions. And so this is what we do in the lab. We merge all the files and we create a beautiful smile. Now this smile stays in the cloud and just holds there until the day of surgery. So we can do it the day of surgery. We can do it a week before, a month before, whatever you want, okay? So then Dr. Alijanian will do the surgery and we'll use our components and all that. And so when the surgery is done, we don't wait an extra 2 hours, 3 hours to convert. We just take about 5 to 10 minutes to do our scans. And then those scans are sent to the lab, and the lab merges the smile that is in the cloud to the implant placement. Okay? We know what the smile looks like. The patient approved it, you approved it. So that's going to be what we print. And it's now going to be sent back to Dr. Alijanian, who has a printer downstairs. And if you don't have a printer, we just mail you the temporary back to your office within 24 hours, anywhere in the country. So we have doctors all the way in Maine, New Jersey, wherever. And so within 24 hours, you get your case back. So then it's been 4 months, 3-4 months, and you're now ready to restore. So patient comes in, you're going to basically scan the patient, and when you're done scanning the patient, we will send you a PMMA or a final restoration, and basically you sit it. So it's very, very streamlined, it's very quick, and we don't guess through the process. We know what's going to happen before we even start doing it, okay? So it's a really cool process. Now, you know, I've done cases with photogrammetry. I've done cases with all the different type of photogrammetry. This is what I do every day, chairside. And I'm like, okay, there must be a better way, because photogrammetry works really, really well until it doesn't work, which is very often, okay? Sometimes you can't put those Legos in the mouth. Sometimes you have a hard time scanning. You know, the light can be an issue. So a lot of different things. So we had to come up with something, again, that is more, that is better and easier and faster to use. Now, we have an engineer that works for us. And so I'm chairside, and if Dr. Alijanian says, you know, Frank Charles, I would like the screw to be more like this. Okay, well, I'll tell my engineer, we'll make a prototype, and within 48 hours, Dr. Alijanian will have a new screw to try in the mouth. So nobody can do that, okay? So we do things like that. So this is, our system is the simplest system out there. Our philosophy is not to make money on technology. Our philosophy as a dental lab is to make money on the final restorations. So we try to streamline it as much as possible so you don't have to struggle through the process, okay? You can integrate this here in your practice in 3-4 days, okay? If you were to order it, for example, from us today on Monday, by Friday you're doing your first surgery. There's no other system in the world that can do that, okay? So we are the exclusive distributor of this particular scanner in the US and North America and Mexico. So this is a real scan. So here we go. It takes 6 seconds. You turn to the left. Actually, we can go much faster now. We have improved the software. He has a bite rim in his mouth. When you scan the patient, you want to scan the patient in the proper video. So if the patient has a collapsed bite, you need to open the bite and scan him in the proper video. That is very, very important. Why? Because we want to see what he's going to look like when he's done, so I can restore, I can build that smile and give you that smile and show you what it's going to look like. So if you give me a collapsed bite, the smile is going to look like it's collapsed, right? So we need to open the bite. So for you, the restorative doctors in this room, please, you know, and this guy is completely edentulous. One way of doing it, if you have teeth, is we can design something with what you have already there, right? And then we can print it for you. You can just shove it to the patient's mouth, and it will just sit on whatever teeth you have left. So now you can scan the patient with something that is more real than just like empty spaces, because scanners hate empty spaces. You want to scan with something in the patient's mouth. So here he was getting married. We had like 2 days to get it done. And so we did the bite rim and just scan him with the bite rim. So this here is the OB scanner scan. As you can see, it's 6 seconds. We need to scan with the open, regular smile and exaggerated smile. We need the upper scan, lower scan, and the bite scan. This here is to be used if the patient shows no teeth when they smile. If they have no teeth when they smile, it's hidden by the lips, then we have to use this little tool. I'm not going to go too much into that, but that's what happened. And basically, from that, we're going to design a smile. So this is her smile. This is what she looks like right now. And then basically, we're just showing you how the technician is working with this. But it's basically, you're going to remove her smile. You can see the buccal corridor. You can see everything in her mouth. It's pretty amazing technology. And basically, we're going to put a new smile in her mouth. And then we're going to send it back to you. It's going to be white when we send it back to you. And you can show it to the patient and say, hey, is that what you want to look like? And then the patient can say, no, I want it longer, shorter, wider, whatever. Yes, Dr. Wings.
How accurate is the merge from just the teeth alone?
So for you, it's very inaccurate because we like to give you a hard time. But for everybody else, it's super accurate. No, it's quite accurate. I mean, it's quite accurate. Now, is it 100%? I don't think anything is 100% in life, but death and taxes. So I think we're very close. I mean, we've done hundreds and hundreds of cases now. And the midline be slightly off happens sometimes, it's true, but it's very, very rare. So stop putting me on the spot like that, okay? No, I'm just kidding, doctor. No, it's quite.
If it's off, it's only to our trained eye, but to the regular person, it's like perfect. But, you know, this is a great starting point surgically, of which can always be corrected. corrected, and it's continually refined till we get.
Basically, like you can trust it within like a millimeter or a half millimeter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so, doctor. I think so, yeah. I think, now, if it's really off, it's probably because the data you gave me was wrong.
Yeah. Fair.
I mean, usually it's the lab's fault all the time. With this, it's your fault, you know? You know? No, but
The accuracy of the teeth position, it should be pretty accurate, but pictures that we do on the pre-scan, and the patient standing up, relaxed, coming from home, having coffee, everything is just
There's a lot
relaxed.
that goes into it.
And then during the surgery, patient is numb, nothing, it just works, everything is just drooling, and then for a week after that, everything is swollen. So you might not see the same smile, everything, but even after everything heals, the muscles are not going back to the same position. So the position of the teeth there should be same, but the lip and everything might change. That's why we go to the final and then play.
so these are all our parts. Thank you for showing this, Dr. Reza, earlier. This is the latest design. We've always improved our design, and the reason why is because when you do hundreds and thousands of cases, you always try to get better and better and better. So some of those of the parts that you showed earlier, doctor, were the first ones we had, right? So it's evolved a lot, and so this is kind of where where it is now, and I'll show that to you right now. So that's our suture cap, which is 30% wider than the regular suture cap from any implant manufacturer. And the reason why we have them wider is when you remove them to deliver the temporary, we don't want you to have to numb the patient. So we make them wider, so when you remove the cap, the temporary will sit on there much, much easier. There are other things that we can add on top of the scap, so you actually send the patient with a Band-Aid on top of the tissue with pressure, but I'm not gonna show that to you now, but we have a lot of cool stuff. The multi-unit abutment, the multi-unit driver, I'm sorry, is the driver that is used to place, for example, a Neodent straight multi-unit abutment. So we thought, okay, well, let's not have another driver. Let's use their driver to place this in the patient's mouth. It's the same driver that will drive the orientation scan markers. Those go into the palate. It's the same driver. So it goes on top of this, the multi-units, the SRAs, and also the scan body. So we have one driver for three things. Now, when we go to the scan body, we use an 050 driver. The reason we went to an 050 driver is because it's the most common driver in the dental industry. It covers 95% of the implant in the world. So the Neodent driver is kind of a 050 driver with some twist to it. Straumann, you would have to get that, right?
It's also fit for other like Zimmer or...
Well, 050 is Zimmer. So 050 is Zimmer, yeah. I mean, it's not Zimmer, but Zimmer uses 050, yeah. Then we have nugs and bullets. We're going to explain to you why we have those. They're basically scan bodies for the tissue. And we have this we're very proud to have this tray here. This is an amazing invention, and it's taking us a long time to develop this. So I'll show. So those screws that we talked about will go in the pallets. Today, for example, we'll have a denture. So we're going to place a hole in the denture, place the screw in there, and then put the scan body. So the scan body, when it goes in the mouth, and it has to stay in the same direction. So that this particular doctor made a line there. Because if you want to remove the scan body so you have more room to do the surgery, when you put it back later on to do your scans, it has to be put back in the exact same position that it was before surgery, okay? So there we have a little line that was placed. So this is that's what it looks like. Then we scan. So what we're doing here is basically placing a screw in the patient's mouth and scanning the patient before extraction. That is our point of reference, right? And then when we do the surgery and Dr. Alijanian removes all the teeth, if we don't have that scanned body there, we would not know how to realign everything together. It could be a tooth, it could be a screw, it could be anything you want. Yes?
So I just want to repeat this because it's an important step.
Say it in English for me, please.
I will. I'll do my best. But the reason I'm repeating this is because I screwed up on this a few times. So.
No.
So basically, what you're saying, FC, and I want to make sure I understand this clearly, is that today's patient, for example, is a dentist patient, which you've basically, we're going to put the denture in with a hole with the scan body through it and scan patient before the surgery.
That's right.
And if the patient has some teeth there, but not a occlusal reference, the scan body in the palate will be linked to the teeth with
That is correct.
pressure material.
That is correct.
And they will be scanned.
That's correct.
Pre-op.
So everything that, if some of you surgeons, when you go back to your home states and you want to do this with us, we built a website that nobody else in the world has. It's like the most amazing website you'll ever seen. And it has every step by step of everything that we can show you with all the variation that could come up. And if something goes wrong, like for example, Dr. Alijanian just said, I did a surgery or I did all the extraction and I didn't put a screw, we have a solution to all of that. Why? Is because I'm very fortunate to work with Dr. Alijanian, who's a very, very...
Because he makes mistakes.
No. He's a very, very good dentist. He's a very good dentist. He's a very good surgeon. Very, no, but everybody makes mistakes. But I would say 99% of the time, everything goes very well. But sometimes things are forgotten. We work with doctors, they took a class over the weekend. They've placed 50 implants in their career, and now they're doing their first case. And I have to work with those guys too, and they make a lot of mistakes. So how do I come up with solutions for them too? So we have solutions for everything. That's the beautiful thing about our system. And so that website has all this information. Okay, so you don't have to remember everything. Don't worry, we have it. We got you covered. So the suture cap. So Dr. Reza, thank you very much. You showed that earlier. MUAs goes in. Open flap, and we're now going to place the suture cap. So there are other systems out there, kind of similar to ours, but they do everything with open flap, which is, to me, it's insanity. Okay, it's like malpractice. So we want you to close the flap, and we want you to be done, and then you move forward. So we place the suture cap on top of the multi-unit abutment, and now we suture. And this is what it looks like. Now Dr. Alijanian is done with the surgery, and he can leave the room and go back up the mountain up there. Because he loves backing. In case you didn't know, you will see that downstairs. And now the restorative doctor and myself, we're going to come in and do our job. So what you're going to do here is you're going to put now the newer generation of scan bodies. Our scan bodies look like this for a particular reason. There is a reason why we design them this way. Why? Is because we know that intraoral scanners love to scan 5 millimeter to 7 millimeter heights. They love scanning that, depth of field. And we know they love 28 degrees angulation. So this is why we design them this way. We didn't design them this way because they look cute. We designed them this way because there is science behind it. So this is why our scan bodies now look like this. And the screw is now also flushed with a scan body. Okay? Photogrammetry is the, let me go back. iOS scan, the literature shows that iOS scanners are the most accurate scanner in dentistry. There's nothing more accurate than dentistry. But in this field, it becomes extremely inaccurate because you have a lot of blood, like Dr. Reza was saying, a lot of blood, debris, flappy tissue, and all that. So they invented photogrammetry, which is wonderful, but they scan from far away. But it's like a 100 micron accuracy. This is like 15 micron. And the reason it's very accurate what we do is because of what I'm going to show you right now, okay? So we know that this here is not accurate. The photogrammetry will tell you, once we pick up the position of the implant, you have to scan the soft tissue, which is absolutely insane. How do you scan this with an intraoral scanner? If you have an iTero, forget about it, right? It's very hard to scan this if you have an iTero machine, which is a very good machine. You can scan this, right? Or look at this. On the upper, it's not too bad. But on the lower, the tissue is very flappy. And what you want to capture is not the tissue. You want to capture the shape of the bone. That's what you want to capture. But you don't know what the shape of the bone looks like here. There is no way for you to be able to do that. Look at that. You have no idea what the soft tissue, the bone looks like. Okay? So, excuse me. So we have this wonderful tray that we call an STV, which stands for Scan, Tissue, and Verification. This is the putty of our choice. We like that putty can use whatever putty you want, but I like it the most. We try the tray in the mouth, and we make sure that there's no interference. We have only one size tray. In the old days, we had 3, right? Small, medium, and large. But we realized that this tray fits 99.9% of the population of all our next cases, because you can only put the implant in certain areas. So now it simplifies the thing. We use the putty, we mix it, and then we basically shove it in the patient's mouth, and you saw that earlier. We push on the putty, and then we expose the head of the scan bodies. So as you can see here is your scan marker. Okay? So now we know we have a very accurate scan with this. It's the most accurate scan in the industry. It's more accurate than any photogrammetry. Okay? This is not saying this is just literature. So we've seen this. So now you remove the tray from the patient's mouth, you remove the screw, and we're going to rinse this. And now what you have here is you have an impression, in quote unquote, it's not an impression, it's kind of an impression of the soft tissue, and this is a secret word, under compression. When you do photogrammetry, you scan the tissue, there is no soft tissue compression. So the laboratory has to guess what it looks like. And the number one reason we do immediate load the day of surgery, the number one reason, of course, with people who say it's aesthetic, more important than aesthetic, it's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid that shape the tissue for the final restoration. And if you don't know what the bone looks like, how do you get that correctly? You can't. So you need to have the true rendering of what the bone looks like with 1, 2, or 3 millimeters of tissue on top of that. And this is the only technique in the world that has that. Okay? So this is what we're very proud of, and because of that tray. Now, this tray is built into we have our own software. We have a software built behind this, and this tray is built into the software. So when you scan this impression, and when you scan in the mouth, the tray, when it goes in our software, it automatically aligns itself. So instead of taking a half hour, it takes 5 minutes. And we are also the only company in the world who has that, okay? So now you have this soft tissue under compression, and what we're going to do now is we're going to use this bullet, and the bullet basically, if you look at it, it's the shape of the suture cap and the scan body here, okay? Now we have a scan body that looks just like this, that's short, which we call the nug, and I'll show you in a second why they're different scan bodies. But basically this bullet will go in the impression, right? And basically that space here takes this is not a picture, I'm sorry. That space here takes the spot of the suture cap, and this space here is sticking out. Now we can scan the inside of it, the side of the tray. We merge everything. Now we have a perfect position of the implant and the soft tissue. The only company in the world who has that. Okay? So this is the shape of the bone. Do you see this shape in here? No, you don't see it. It's not there. You have no idea. Look at bulky, look at swollen this is. So this is basically your temporary has to know the shape of this so we can shape it so we can prepare the soft tissue for the final restoration. Thank you for that candy. It's very good. Can you have, I need some more later on. Thank you. And then we created this RX. So the RX is very, very important. It's very important because one of the problems we have in dentistry is that we don't always get the information that we need as a dental lab. That's why it's always our fault, right? No, necessarily, I'm just kidding, but it's true. We need this information. So we created an RX, and Dr. He's just stepped out, so I was going to give him some praise, but Dr. Ewing helped us out a little bit because he was complaining about our RX was too long with too much information. So our digital RX is basically based on the answer that you give us. We direct you to different places. So, you know, as you enter things in here, it changes what the RX is going to ask you, basically on the information that you give us. So it's a really cool RX. It's interactive. And so we would appreciate that you fill this RX because it's very important. And if you don't use our lab and you use another lab, please give the information to those patients, okay? To those laboratory technicians. And basically, you know, if we do everything correctly, you give us the right information, and we do our job well, we can deliver a full mouth reconstruction in like 10 minutes from start to finish. That's sitting the patient and telling them, thank you very much, have a good day. It's like 10 minutes with minimal adjustment, okay? So it's been 3 or 4 months, and now you're ready to restore, okay? So patient will basically, very simple, upper scan, lower scan, bite scan. This is your regular iOS protocol. Facial scan, so that's the scan required for changing the aesthetic. At that point, if you want to move the midline or whatever, we can do that. And we're going to now remove the appliance and start the scanning process. So we developed, again, something that is very simple. If you use other companies, they may ask you to use different scan bodies, different heights, and things like that. You're using the same scan bodies you use the day of surgery. You use the same tray, you use the same body, you use the same technique. And the reason we love the tray is because you as dentists, for the last 30 years, you've been using trays. I know it's switching to iOS, but you are used to use trays. And your assistants were trained in school to use trays. So it's not an impression tray. It's a tray that holds the potty so you can take it there. But it's not a foreign technique that you have to learn. And okay, oh my God. Like what I've heard about photogrammetry from doctors, it's really complicated to integrate. Right? There are a lot of new things they need to learn and how everything works together. This is something that you do every single day. You guys take single implant impressions every day. It's kind of the same idea. Okay, so we use a same scan body. We put it in the patient's mouth. This is an older generation. I apologize. I forgot to change the picture. My mea culpa. But basically, same idea. As you can see, those scan bodies have a different shape. They scan very well, but not as well as the new scan bodies because it didn't have so much of the 28-degree tapered and all that stuff. So again, we try the tray, we put the potty, we put it in the patient's mouth, and we scan it. And that's it. There you go, you remove it, and then you put the nug. So the nug is now the same thing as the bullet, but we don't have a suture cap. So because we don't have suture cap, we just use the end of the bullet part. So that would be the scan portion. So we screw them inside the tray, and we basically just scan them. So to recap, patient sits in a chair. Hello, how are you? How's everything? Great. Take scans of the upper, lower, and bite scan in the patient's mouth. Now you take an impression, you take the scan of the implant, and then you take a scan of the tissue, and you're done. Very simple. This should take you like 10 minutes maybe, and we're done. And you get a final PMMA or a final zirconia. In the old days, you did verification jig, cutting it, gluing it, taking an impression over that, doing a trine of the trine of the trine of the trine because the midline is always in the wrong place and there's a cant. I mean, we've had some tough cases where the cant is, hey, you know, raise the cant to the right side, and we raise it to the right side. Now you have to go back to the left side now because it was too much. You know, we don't have that anymore. Why? Because it's all done in the face, in the scan, in a 3D. So the word, for example, in our lab, which is very weird, I have a lot of young technicians. And you know, a lot of them are these CAD designers. And so sometimes we have conversation that said, yeah, you know, we want to make sure there is no cant. And they look at me like, what's a cant? Because we don't have cant problem anymore in the lab because we design everything in the patient's face. It's the best articulator in the world, right? Midline being off, they ask me, excuse me, FC, why would we have a midline off? I don't understand. Just put it in the middle of the nose. Like you have to understand, in the old days, we didn't have the nose and we didn't have the face. We just basically guessed, you know? So yeah, that vocabulary is disappearing, you know? Again, use our RX and you'll get basically your final zirconia or final PMMA. Or if you had to make a lot of changes, then you would get something all white, which we call a prototype, like a white prototype. And you can try to see if we captured all the changes that you wanted to have, you know, which is very rare these days, but it does happen. You know, patient, we gave her a beautiful smile, she agreed to the smile, and now she wants longer teeth or whatever, so you may want to change a lot of stuff. So before going to this, we would go to some type of prototype. So, like I told you, we have this dashboard, this website that we created. Our customers will have that. So we will make it available to you. It has every step of everything that I just told you in extreme detail. Today I gave you the very, very, overview, high overview. So we have all of that. Another thing so that's called the onboarding process. For us that are onboarding a lot of doctors these days, we want to make sure that you can do it on your own with your staff, take your time. And this onboarding process it's unbelievable. Okay, the guy who developed that for us, the guy's a genius, and it's amazing. Okay, so you go on there, it's like you're getting your MBA online with Harvard online. It's incredible. So it's all there for you. And then there is another thing that we do that is really cool, and we'll talk about it later, is you'll get a model, and you can try with the parts, and you can try step by step the process. And then you send us the file, and then we mill it for you, we print it for you, whatever, and we send it back to you, and you can see how accurate we were. So we do all of this. Another thing that is very important is when you do those type of cases, and I think maybe Dr. Alijanian or your staff will talk about this, but there are certain forms that you should give to your patients to fill out, right? Because we are doing expensive cases, you need to protect yourself, and maybe Elena is going to talk about this, I'm not sure, but there are certain forms that you need. So we work with a lot of prosthodontists from all around the country. Most of them were at Clichy at one time or another, and so we have access to all those forms, and they are in here for you to help you protect yourself when you do those type of cases. We have ways to calculate your fees. So I just came back from Oklahoma, right? And we were talking, and their fees there and the fees here are different. Why? Because in California, it's so much more expensive than it is here. So when people talk and they say, well, $25,000 for a case, well, it depends where you're located. I mean, why would you charge $25,000 if it costs you way, way, way more than maybe being in Oklahoma or whatever? So we have a calculator for you that is in there that helps you calculate your fees. If you, for example, you need parts and you don't know what parts to use, you want to use Neodent, or you want to use Straumann, we have all the implant manufacturers with all the parts you would need to do those type of surgeries, and many, many, many other tools. And why do we do this? Is because we want you to be successful doing those type of cases. Often, it's not your surgical skills or whatever. It could be something else that makes the process not fun. And because it's not fun, you don't want to do it anymore, right? So we provide you with all those tools. And then the last thing here is marketing and coaching. Doctors who do a lot of those cases, they don't do them by accident. Dr. Alijanian does a lot of those cases not because he's a very handsome man. It's not the reason why. It's not because he's only a great surgeon. It's because he has a very strong brand. He brands himself very well. His staff is very well trained. And he explained to you a little bit earlier why he does what he does. And so it's important that your practice is built that way. And so we have people helping us out to create this marketing and coaching here. They gave us some basic tools to help you get going on the right direction. And then if you like it and if you need more, then you can get directly in contact with those people, and they will help you to organize your practice so you can do more of those cases. Because it is not an accident when a doctor does 100 arches a year or you do 2 arches a year. And they live in the same building. You're very fortunate with Dr. Reza this morning. He does a lot of cases as a prosthodontist. He does a lot of cases as a surgeon. It's not an accident. There's a reason behind this. And I think one of the person who's part of this here is in this room. She's going to lecture for you tomorrow, I think, or today, I'm not sure. And you can hear her talk. She's pretty amazing. But it's very important that you understand that. So we provide all of that for you. So that's the companion dashboard. And I believe that's it for me today. Yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions, thank you.